The philosopher Socrates is being challenged to prove that men are just for justice's sake, and not merely for show. To argue the point, his friend Glaucon tells a story to illustrate that anyone, even a just man, would seize power if they could get away with it. This is their first-hand account of the legend of the Ring of Gyges. Now consider what that means. A young man in a room full of thinkers is about to argue that goodness is a fraud, that every honest man you have ever met is honest only because he is afraid, that give any human being the power to vanish, to steal, to kill, to take whatever he pleases without consequence, and the mask of virtue would slip in an afternoon. This is a thought so dangerous that men have argued about it for 2,400 years. And it starts with a shepherd, a storm, and a hole in the ground. This is not a history lesson. This is his private argument, told in his own voice the night he tried to prove that no man is good by choice.
Let me tell you a story. They call it a tradition, and I believe it. There was a man named Gyges, a shepherd. He served the king of Lydia, nothing more than a hired hand watching another man's flock. Then comes the storm, a great one, and with it, an earthquake. The ground where he is feeding his sheep splits open, an opening in the earth, right there, where solid ground had been a moment before. He is amazed. Who wouldn't be? And here is the thing about Gyges. He does not run. He climbs down into the opening, and down there, among other marvels, he sees something that should not exist. A horse, made of brass, hollow, enormous, and it has doors set into its side. He stoops. He looks inside, and there is a dead body, bigger than a man should be, more than human, it seemed to him, wearing nothing at all, nothing except one thing, a gold ring on its finger, just sitting there in the dark on the hand of the dead. So he takes it. He slides the ring from the finger of the dead man, and he climbs back up into the light. Now, he does not know yet what he has. He thinks it is only gold. He is wrong, because the shepherds have a custom. Once a month they gather together and send a report to the king about the flocks. Gyges comes to the meeting. The ring is on his finger. He sits down among the others, saying nothing. And by chance, by pure chance, he turns the collet of the ring inward, toward the inside of his hand, and instantly he is gone, invisible. The men around him begin speaking of him as though he had left, as though he were no longer there. He is astonished. Of course he is. So he reaches down and turns the collet outward again, and there he is, back, visible. The men see him again. So he tries it, again and again. Collet inward, he vanishes. Collet outward, he returns. Every time, without fail. Think about what he is holding. Not gold. Power. The power to do anything, and never be seen doing it. And here is what Gyges does with it. Here is what a shepherd does when the whole world stops being able to watch him. He arranges it. He contrives to be chosen as one of the messengers who go to the royal court. He knows what he has. He does not waste it on sheep. He arrives at the court, and as soon as he arrives, he begins. First, the queen. He seduces her. With the ring, no one sees him come or go, and with her help, with the queen at his side, he conspires against the king. They conspire. They plot. And then he does the thing itself. He slays the king. He kills him and takes the kingdom for himself. A shepherd, a hired hand who watched another man's sheep. Now he sits on the throne of Lydia. Now, Socrates, here is my point. Here is why I told you the tale. Suppose there were 2 such rings. 2, and we give one to a just man and one to an unjust man. No man can be imagined to be of such iron nature that he would stand fast in justice. No man would keep his hands off what was not his own, when he could safely take whatever he liked out of the market, or go into any house he pleased, or lie with anyone he wanted, or kill or release from prison whomever he chose. In all respects, he would be like a god among men, answerable to no one, seen by no one. And here is the truth I am forcing you to face. The actions of the just man and the unjust man, they would become the same. Both would come at last to the very same point. Take, take, take. And this we may truly affirm to be great proof that a man is just not willingly, not because he thinks justice does him any good. A man is just of necessity, only of necessity. Wherever a man believes he can safely be unjust, there he is unjust, because in their hearts, all men believe it, all of them. That injustice is far more profitable to a man than justice. And the man who argues as I have, he will tell you they are right to believe it. Now, imagine the exception. Imagine a man who got this ring, this godlike power, and never once used it wrongly, who never touched what belonged to another. What would we call him? A saint? No. The onlookers would call him a miserable idiot, a fool, the most wretched man alive. Oh, they would praise him to his face. They would keep up appearances, but only from fear. Only because they are afraid that they, too, might one day suffer at another's hands. That is the whole of it. Fear. Enough of this. But I am not done sharpening the knife, because to judge these 2 men truly, we cannot leave them half-dressed. If we are to form a real judgment of these 2 lives, the just and the unjust, we must isolate them. There is no other way. And how is the isolation to be done? I will tell you. Let the unjust man be entirely unjust, and the just man entirely just. Nothing taken away from either. Both perfectly equipped for the work of their lives. First, the unjust man. Let him be like the great masters of any craft, like the skillful pilot or the skillful physician. A man who knows his own powers exactly, who stays within their limits, and who, if he fails at any point, knows how to recover himself. So let our unjust man make his unjust attempts in the right way. Let him lie hidden, if he means to be great in his injustice. Because the one who is found out is nobody. Hear me. The man who gets caught is nothing. The highest reach of injustice is this: to be thought just when you are not. To wear the perfect mask. So, in our perfectly unjust man, we assume the most perfect injustice. No deduction. None. We allow him to do the most unjust acts, and at the very same time, to have won the greatest reputation for justice. If he takes a false step, he can recover. If any of his deeds come to light, he can talk his way clear. He can force his way where force is required, by his courage, his strength, his command of money and friends. Now, beside that man, let us place the just one, in his nobleness and his simplicity, a man who wishes, as Aeschylus says, to be good, and not merely to seem good. So there must be no seeming for him. None, because if he seems just, he will be honored and rewarded. And then we will never know. Is he just for the sake of justice, or just for the honors and rewards? So let him be clothed in justice only, nothing else, no other covering at all. Let him be imagined in the exact opposite state of the other. Let him be the best of men, and let the whole world think him the worst. Then he will have been put to the proof. Then we shall see whether he flinches from the fear of infamy and all that comes with it. And let him continue this way to the very hour of his death, being just and seeming unjust all his life. When both have reached the uttermost extreme, the one of justice, the other of injustice, then let judgment be given. Which of the two is the happier? Heavens, my dear Glaucon. That was Socrates speaking now. How energetically you polish these two men up for the decision. First one, then the other, as if they were two statues you were scrubbing clean for display. I do my best, I told him. And now that we know what these two men are, there is no difficulty in tracing out the life that awaits each. I will describe it. But it is coarse, Socrates. So let me put the ugly words into the mouths of the men who praise injustice. Pretend they are not mine. They will tell you this. The just man, the one thought to be unjust, will be scourged. He will be racked, bound. His eyes will be burnt out. And at the last, after suffering every kind of evil, he will be impaled. Then, they say, he will finally understand that he ought only to seem just and never to be it. For the words of Aeschylus are more truly spoken of the unjust man than the just, because the unjust man is pursuing a reality. He does not live for appearances. He wants to be unjust, not merely to seem it. His mind, the poet says, has a soil deep and fertile, out of which spring all his prudent counsels. In the first place, he is thought just, and so he rules the city. He bears the offices of state. He marries whom he will. He gives in marriage whom he will. He trades and deals wherever he likes, always to his own advantage, because he has no misgivings about injustice. None. In every contest, public or private, he beats his opponents. He gains at their expense. He grows rich. And out of his winnings, he helps his friends and harms his enemies. He offers sacrifices. He dedicates gifts to the gods, abundantly, magnificently, far better than any just man ever could. And so, they say, he is dearer to the gods themselves than the just man is. And thus, Socrates, gods and men alike are said to unite in making the life of the unjust better than the life of the just. I was about to answer Glaucon, but then his brother, Adimantus, cut in. Socrates, he said, you do not suppose there is nothing more to be said? Why, what else is there? I asked. The strongest point of all, he replied, has not even been mentioned, and I confess to you, Glaucon had already said enough to lay me in the dust, enough to take from me the very power of defending justice. But Adimantus was not finished. Let brother help brother, he said, and he took up the argument himself. Consider, he said, how parents and tutors speak. They are always telling their sons to be just. But why? Not for the sake of justice, never for justice itself, for the sake of reputation, for character. In the hope of winning for the boy those offices, those marriages, those advantages that Glaucon already listed, all flowing from the mere reputation of justice. And these men make even more of appearances than the others. Because they throw in the gods. They tell of a shower of benefits that heaven rains upon the pious, and they call on Hesiod and Homer to prove it. Hesiod says the gods make the oaks of the just bear acorns at the summit, and bees in the middle, and the sheep bow down heavy with the weight of their fleeces. And Homer sings of a blameless king who, like a god, maintains justice, and for whom the black earth brings forth wheat and barley, whose trees bow with fruit, whose sheep never fail to bear, and to whom the very sea gives up its fish. And there are grander gifts still. Musaeus and his son promise the just an afterlife of feasting. They lay the saints on couches at an everlasting banquet, crowned with garlands, forever drunk. An immortality of drunkenness, Adimantus says, as if that were the highest reward of virtue. And for the wicked, another strain entirely. They bury them in a slough in Hades. They make them carry water in a sieve. Forever. A punishment that can never be finished. That is how they praise the one and censure the other. Once more, Socrates. Let me show you another way men speak of justice and injustice. And this one is not only in the poets, it is in the prose writers too. In everyone. The universal voice of mankind. Listen to what it always says. Justice and virtue are honorable, yes, but grievous, toilsome, hard, and the pleasures of vice, easy, easily had, censured only by law and by opinion. Nothing more. They say honesty is, as, for the most part, less profitable than dishonesty. And they mean it. They are quite ready to call wicked men happy, to honor them in public and in private, when they are rich or powerful, while they despise and overlook the weak and the poor, even while admitting out loud that the poor man is the better man. But most extraordinary of all, Socrates, is how they speak of virtue and the gods. They say the gods hand out calamity and misery to many good men, and good fortune and happiness to the wicked. And then come the beggar prophets, the mendicant priests. They go to rich men's doors. They persuade the rich man that they hold a power given by the gods, the power to make atonement for his own sins, or his ancestors' sins, by sacrifices and charms, with feasting and rejoicing, and more. They promise to harm an enemy, just or unjust, it does not matter, at a small cost. With magic arts and incantations, they claim to bind heaven itself to do their will. And who are their authorities? The poets, always the poets. They smooth the path of vice with Hesiod's own words. Vice, Hesiod says, may be had in abundance without trouble. The way is smooth. Her dwelling place is near. But before virtue, the gods have set toil, a long road, tedious, uphill, and they cite Homer too, as proof that the gods themselves may be turned from their purpose. Men pray, Homer says. They avert divine wrath by sacrifice, by soothing entreaties, by libations, and the odor of burning fat, even after they have sinned and transgressed. And then they bring out the books, a whole host of them, written, they say, by Musaeus and Orpheus. Children of the moon and the muses, that is what they claim. And by these books they perform their rites. They persuade not just single men, but whole cities, that sins can be atoned for by sacrifice, by amusements that fill a vacant hour. The rites for the dead they call mysteries. They say these redeem us from the pains of hell, and if we neglect them, no one knows what awaits us. No one at all.
And so the trap is closed. Two brothers, one after the other, have built a case against goodness so complete that Socrates himself admits it has laid him in the dust. They have given us the shepherd who found a ring and became a king. They have stripped the just man of everything but his justice and clothed the unjust man in every reward the world can offer. They have shown us that even the gods, as men imagine them, seem to prefer the villain. That the whole machinery of the world appears rigged in favor of the man who only pretends to be good. Now every eye in that room turns to one man. Socrates has to answer, not with a story, with a truth strong enough to hold against all of this. And the answer he begins to build is enormous. To prove that one soul should be just, he will build an entire city in words, a perfect state, from the ground up. But before the city, before the answer, he stops to ask a smaller, sharper question. When the young hear all of this, that vice pays and virtue costs, how are their minds likely to be affected? Those who are quick-witted, those who light on every flower, and from all that they hear are prone to draw conclusions about what manner of man they ought to become. Chapter 2 is where Socrates stops defending justice and starts building the state that could. But we have not reached that chapter yet. Before Socrates can build his city, Adimantus must finish what he came to say. And what he says is the most dangerous accusation in the whole dialogue. He is not attacking justice. He is attacking the way we teach it. Listen to how a father instructs his son. Listen and hear the poison hidden inside the honey.
They praise justice. Yes, but listen to what they praise. They do not praise justice itself. They praise the reputation of it, the office, the marriage, the good name that follows. Be just, they say, and you will win contracts, win friends, win the offices that come with a spotless name. And then, in the same breath, they whisper the other lesson, that the reward is not justice. The reward is the seeming. So the young man does the arithmetic. He is quick-witted. He weighs the two roads. Justice is hard. Injustice is sweet, if you can hide it. And hiding, they tell me, is a craft that can be learned. There are teachers of persuasion. There are clubs and brotherhoods. There is the art of the assembly, the trick of the courts. So I will wear the face of virtue. I will build a front, a facade, a painted screen. And behind it, I will do as I please.
This is the trap Adimantus lays at Socrates' feet. He has proven, with the voices of fathers, poets, and priests, that the world rewards the appearance of goodness, not goodness itself. And if that is true, then why be good at all? Why not wear the mask and take the ring?
So here is what I ask of you, Socrates. Do not tell me justice is strong because of its rewards. Any fool can praise the wages of a thing. Tell me what justice does inside the soul of the man who holds it. Tell me what injustice does inside the soul of the man who hides it. Strip away the reputation. Strip away the gods. Strip away every wage on both sides. Then show me which man is happier, the just or the unjust. That is the question no one has answered. That is the question I need answered before I can sleep.
And now, cornered, challenged, stripped of every easy defense, Socrates does something extraordinary. He says, "To see justice in one man, first let us build it large. Let us found a city, a whole state, raised from the ground, watched as it grows. When the young hear all this said about virtue and vice, how are their minds likely to be affected? Those who are quick-witted, those who, like bees on the wing, light on every flower. Chapter 2 is where Socrates stops defending justice and starts building the state that could contain it, brick by brick, guardian by guardian, until... And so the question hangs there, unresolved, that image of the young mind as a bee, drifting from flower to flower, gathering not honey, but conclusions. Adeimantus presses harder now. He says the danger is not that the young will hear lies about justice. The danger is that they will hear the truth spoken carelessly, that gods can be bribed, that appearances outrun reality. He asks, what happens to the boy who is clever enough to see all this, and clever enough to hide? Chapter 2 is where the answer begins to take shape, where Socrates lays the first stone of a city built not of walls but of souls, and asks whether any state can teach a man to be just when no one is watching, or whether,